But people are whistling a very different tune of late. This is Nancy Pelosi.
I have said to people when they ask me if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid. I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental.
Wow, that is, and that isn't that. I mean, that is just so off the hook corrupt. That is so not. I mean, the fact that anybody who votes Democrat isn't outraged by that. That's the one thing you're committed to, not the healthcare of the American people, not the education of our children, not to the infrastructure of the. No, the one thing is to another country.
Right. There was a meme going around of and it's very well written because they totally captured the style of dialogue that Tony Soprano had, where he would go on these little digressions and rants. He go, suppose you replace the I with Italian. There's no way we could get rid of that shit. A bunch of Italians in Congress sending billions of dollars to Italy. It's true.
No doubt about it.
Could you imagine any French? If we had a bunch of French people in Congress sending billions of dollars to France, would that fly?
No.
So this is Aaron dropped this clip. You probably remember where Nancy Pelosi claimed that the protesters early on were actually Russian agents.
They're in front of my house all the time. So I have a feeling for what feelings they have. But we have to think about what we're doing. And what we have to do is try to stop the suffering in Gaza. This is women and children, people who don't have a place to go. So let's address that. But for them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. And I say that having looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that.
All right. So Nancy thinks that the protesters should be investigated. Now, Medea Benjamin and Code Pink confronted her about that interview. Let's see how that went. This is, now watch closely as Nancy shoos them away in true Marie Antoinette fashion.
Don't call us Russian apologists or Chinese apologists. You are an Israel apologist. You are an Israel apologist.
Shoot.
Are you going to vote no on the money? Are you going to vote no on the money to Israel? Are you going to vote no?
$1 million.
Are you going to vote no on the money?
Congratulations on making money on it.
We're not headquarters is not
We're not from China.
We don't have headquarters in China. Our headquarters is right here in the United States, and we don't want you giving any more money to Israel.
Our bridges are crumbling. We have
San Francisco has so many problems. We need the money at home. Congresswoman, we need the money at home.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Making money while people are being slaughtered in Gaza.
Don't call us Russian apologists or Chinese apologists. You are an Israel apologist. You are an Israel apologist. You're an Israel apologist. Stop supporting genocide. Shame. Shame on you.
$1 million in NVIDIA stocks this week. She's making money off the genocide.
All right. So now you all know, including on this show, I've made the point that Pelosi should really be prosecuted for insider trading. Although, to be fair, Congress has rigged the laws so that they can't really be held accountable.
That's right.
Isn't that funny how that works? But hey, all of a sudden, there's a shift. The Democratic shift on Israel has spread to a surprising, powerful figure, and that's Nancy Pelosi. On Friday, 40 House Democrats sent a letter to President Biden urging him to reconsider your recent decision to authorize the transfer of a new arms package to Israel and to withhold this and any future offensive arms transfers until a full investigation of last week's World Central Kitchen attack is completed. Quote, in light of the recent strike against aid workers and the ever-worsening humanitarian crisis, we believe it is unjustifiable to approve these weapons transfers. Most of the Democratic signatories were predictable, members of the Squad, leaders of the Progressive Caucus, certain rank-and-file members who happened to be from Michigan. One signature, however, stood out among the others, the representative from California's 11th District, Putin puppet Nancy Pelosi. There hasn't been much daylight between the former speaker and Israel since the October 7th Hamas attack. She's reserved most of her scorn in the heated debate since for pro-Palestine protesters. In January, she suggested that calling for a ceasefire was Mr. Putin's message, although some protesters, she said, were spontaneous and organic. A statement from Pelosi's office explaining her decision to sign the letter offered a measured rationale. Speaker Pelosi is sympathetic to some of the thoughts in the letter, and she feels very strongly that there must be a comprehensive, independent investigation into the horrific killing of the World Central Kitchen heroes, a spokesperson told Slate. Quote, Speaker Pelosi knows President Biden's support for Israel and empathy with the innocent civilians in Gaza, and she respects his judgment in how to proceed. It gets better. It gets better. She's unlikely then, even with the signing of this letter, to personally block traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge anytime soon. Well, the crackerjack journalists at Slate, huh?
Wow.
They're on the story. Still, calling for a halt in arms transfers to Israel is a sharp change in tone and reflective of her position as the representative from San Francisco rather than the Democratic leader. It also reinforces the degree to which simmering Democratic frustration with Israel's conduct in its war against Hamas has reached a boil following the WCK attack.
Blood libel.
Biden, the State Department, and leading pro-Israel Democratic voices in Congress, for the first time in recent memory, have suggested that the U.S. put conditions on military aid to Israel going forward. As for Pelosi, her spokesman had no comment on any potential legislative package. Quote, we will have to see what Speaker Johnson actually brings to the floor.
Jesus.
But as you know, she is a strong supporter of assistance for Ukraine in its defense of democracy and is determined to make sure they have the resources they need to win.
Wouldn't it be nice if she was a strong supporter of assistance to the American people?
Yeah, well,
wouldn't that be amazing?
We don't want the peasants getting heirs.
Jesus fucking Christ! Why don't we call Los Angeles Ukraine?
Yeah.
And
well, no, it didn't work for East Palestine.
Oh, you're right. Look, that's exactly right. Well, it's called Palestine.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It wasn't called East Israel.
East Israel. That's it. They need a name change.
That's it.
It's a branding problem. Now we're getting to the heart of this. Now, just to explain that, so Mike Johnson is rumored to be putting together a package that ties together Taiwan, Israel, and Ukraine aid in one super package.
This country needs to be overthrown, man. I swear to God. I'm not kidding. People are down for it, by the way, in Europe. Everywhere I went, I said, we need a real revolution. And they all stood up and cheered. Yep. Anyway, that's a Jimmy Dore show crowd anyway.
I found the people in England, even on that food, they managed to be much more politically aware. That is not easy, working through those baked beans and whatever the hell that tomato shit is there on the plate. Since Nancy Pelosi has signed a congressional letter, this is from John Schwartz, demanding that the U.S. stop sending weapons to Israel, possibly for a long, long time, you have to ask the obvious question: how did Putin get to her?
Nice, Johnny.
So now, from Breakthrough News, students...
I saw this. This is great.
Students at Arizona State University, I guess they were not impressed by her signing of the letter. They disrupted her for her complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza. So let's take a look. Whoops.
This is great.
Nancy Pelosi, you are complicit in genocide. The blood of over 15,000 Palestinian babies is on your hands. How can you be a Democrat and say you hold democratic values while over 100,000 innocent Palestinian civilians have been massacred with bombs that you paid for? We will not be shamed into voting for you or Genocide Joe and your massacreist policy.
Okay, so now pay attention, because what she really gets upset about is the Genocide Joe part. Watch this.
Family back home in Palestine is being killed. Their blood is on your hands. And David Axelrod, shame on you and every one of the Democratic elite that want to shame us for voting for Genocide Joe. 80% of Democrats support a ceasefire.
Look how many empty seats are there, by the way.
He's the strongest advocate. She did not like that characterization of the president pictured here in his recent trip to the Middle East. They gave him some of the local ice cream there.
Oh, wow.
He was very pleased with that.
But did you notice how many empty seats were there?
It's always like that when these goons show up.
There's so many empty. I couldn't believe that's Nancy Pelosi in a small room, and she couldn't even fill it. And then David Axelrod is there. Who's paying for this? Is the university paying for that? Or is she going there for free? What the fuck? David Axelrod can't be doing that for free. Is he some kind of a visiting...
I'm not sure if you're a sitting politician. I mean, with Axelrod, he probably does get paid.
He's got to be getting paid. Yeah. Anyway, we'll have to have him call in next Wednesday to find
out. So you might be wondering, why all of a sudden did Pelosi change her mind? Because it affected someone she likes.
Oh.
It affected someone she knows. So here, this is from her webpage. Pelosi, DeLauro, and McGovern nominate Jose Andres World Central Kitchen for Nobel Peace Prize. Now, I want to make it clear, this is not, and we're going to do a part B of this. I want to make it clear, this is not a slam on Jose Andres or his organization, even though he did come into this supporting Israel's actions. He's clearly done an about face on that now. It's not to smear them, but it is to point out it's not who you kill, it's who you kill knows that really animates action in Washington. As long as you kill people they don't know personally, it's an abstraction.
That's right.
Once it affects people they know personally, now all of a sudden it's amazing how quickly they're able to mobilize into action. You always hear about how inefficient they are. Well, they're very efficient when they actually give a shit about something.
Yeah, if only that guy who beat her husband up was a Jew, she'd have been for a ceasefire on day one. She'd have been right all along.
That was my fault, by the way.
That was your fault?
Yeah, that guy watches me and Glenn Beck. So
right.
Hey, there's still tickets available in Stockholm, Oslo, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Cortland, New York, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Edmonton, Alberta, Vancouver, British Columbia, Denver, Ashland, Virginia, and Athens, Georgia. See you there.